Many people look at Matt Mercer's amazing success as a dungeon master and wonder how he does it. And let's forget about the voice acting for a moment. Yes, he's an incredible voice actor, but let's just set that aside. The fact remains that he is an outstanding dungeon master. So, what is the secret to his success as a dungeon master? How does he run such spectacular games? After all, if we only knew what his secrets are, then we could all run amazing games too, right? Well, let me unveil the secret of his secret. He has no secret. I submit to you that Matt Mercer and other pro DMs are open books. Their only real secret is that they are exceptionally good at the basics of being a dungeon master. And if you and I can begin to master these basics, our games can begin to approach the awesomeness that is a critical role game. These are the basics that pro DMs such as Matt Mercer excel at. Number 1, preparation. Some of the very worst games I've ever played in or heard other players tell me about were run by dungeon masters who didn't prepare enough. This is how you recognize those games. Not a whole lot happens, or it happens very slowly because the DM is busy looking things up in the book, figuring out encounters and NPCs on the fly, or just staring at the players asking them what they do, even though the DM has given them zero information and zero plot hooks. Now, sometimes this is because the DM intentionally didn't prep because they relied on their great improvisation skills instead. Improvisation? We can say that. I know because low prep DMs often boast about not needing to prep because they are such great improvisers, which may or may not be true. Other time it's because the DM is just lazy and decides to wing it during the game. And other times it's because the DM is legitimately busy with real life stuff, job, family, etc., and doesn't have a whole lot of time to prep. This is the hill I will die on. A game you spend more time preparing will almost always be better than a game you spend less time preparing for. And that also applies to dungeon masters who are actually good at improvising at the game table. Do you think Matt Mercer wings all of his games? Or do you think he prepares extensively and then improvises when needed? I guarantee you it is the latter. Preparation is a basic skill. Even though I've been running D&D games since the 90s, nearly 30 years, not that time doing something necessarily guarantees expertise, that is a very true statement, I prepare for my games almost as much today as I would previously. And the only reason I prep less right now is that I'm also running a YouTube channel and a full-blown business, which leads to really long work hours. Now, I give very little slack to lazy dungeon masters who just don't want to prep, or those who claim to be great at improvising their games, but actually suck at it. And by the way, sometimes these are one and the same. However, busy dungeon masters, that's quite a different story and completely understandable. And that's one of the reasons my team and I publish Lair magazine for DM Lair patrons. It gives dungeon masters a variety of professionally made, easy to use resources that they can drag and drop into their ongoing campaigns. Adventures, new monsters, digital maps, traps, puzzles, and more. I mean, you've probably heard the spiel before. You see, the resources we publish in Lair magazine help busy dungeon masters reduce the prep time they need to still run amazing games for their players. Number 2, treating players fairly. Many of the worst dungeon masters I've played with were horrible at this. Like, they just treated people like garbage. So my advice here is to be nice and don't be a jerk. Have the proper mentality of dungeon mastering, which is, though you are delivering a challenging game at times, and though you are role-playing your monsters to win, because what bad guy doesn't want to win, you are actually rooting for your players. You want your players to overcome the bad guys, even though you are, at times, delivering a challenging game. But that is the mentality that we should strive for as dungeon masters, to root for our players. Be fair with adjudicating rules, while recognizing that many players are biased and still want rulings to go in their favor, so they may not always be pleased with your rulings. One of the things I try to do when there's a questionable ruling or a rule that is vague or ambiguous is I ask my players what they think. I get their opinions, their perspectives, and then weighing that and weighing what's actually in the books, I make my final ruling. And sometimes when I'm in doubt and I'm just not sure, I just tell my players, okay, I'm gonna roll the D6. If it's a 1, 2, or 3, we go your way. If it's a 5, 4, or 6, or whatever, we go my way. Okay, here's another tip too. Speaking of vague and ambiguous rules, know the rules! I mean, as much as you can. How can you adjudicate the game if you don't know the rules? As much as you can, because I totally get that there are lots of rules and it can be hard to know all of them, but just do your best. And then the big, huge one here too is not taking away player agency. Let your players run their own PCs. Don't force them to do things. Let them control their PCs. You got the whole game world, you got all the monsters and NPCs in it. Let your players have their one character that they can do what they want with. Look, Matt Mercer seems like an extraordinarily nice guy, and I really doubt that he's out to get his players' characters. I guarantee you he wants them to overcome the challenges in front of them, even though there was some recent controversy over 2 characters dying in the game. And by the way, for the record, I am on Matt Mercer's side on this one. You all need to chill out. If you think PCs dying in a game that involves combat with swords and fireballs and monsters that want to eat your faces off, if you think that dying is unacceptable in a game like that, perhaps D&D isn't the game for you. And in all honesty, the fact that Matt Mercer was willing to not hold back in that moment and save the character's bacon makes me respect him all the more. By the way, if you're finding the information in this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment for the algorithm. Let us know what you've noticed that great dungeon masters tend to do in their games that make them amazing. Number 3, designing good adventures. Pro dungeon masters excel at designing good adventures that their players enjoy. Now, I have tons of videos on my channel about designing good D&D adventures and all the different elements that go into an adventure, encounters, traps, NPCs, etc. And I talk about how to balance adventures around the 3 pillars: combat, exploration, and social action. So I'm not gonna rehash all of that here. My point is that cool, enjoyable adventures form the backbone of the game. And if you don't have them in your games, your D&D sessions are probably gonna suck. Now, designing a good adventure takes time, and the more experienced you are as a dungeon master, the better the adventures you design are going to be. So, I have 2 points. First, when you're starting out as a dungeon master, your adventures might not be that good, and that's okay. Just stick with it and work on making each adventure a little bit better than the last one. And second, if you're not willing or able to put in the time to create adventures to begin with, see my first point about preparation, instead of trying to homebrew your adventures, you're better off buying a pre-made module to run. For instance, you might pick up Rime of the Frost Maiden or Descent into Avernus. However, modules require a lot of commitment, you gotta run the whole thing, So if you don't want to run a module, but instead you'd like adventures that you can drag and drop into an ongoing campaign, my suggestion is to become a DM Lair patron and get Lair magazine. Every monthly issue contains 2 to 3 easy-to-use adventures complete with digital maps for online play. By the way, I did put together a playlist for you of my best videos on adventure creation to help you out. I'll throw a link to that down in the description and maybe in a pinned comment or something. Number 4, balancing the game. Excellent dungeon masters balance the game, especially the adventures they create around the 3 pillars: combat, exploration, and social interactions. They include elements of each of those things in a game. They do not run lopsided games that ignore certain pillars. Now, one might criticize broadcasted games for focusing too much on social interactions, that's the talkie-talkie between characters and NPCs, but we must also recognize that they are running a show to entertain viewers, and many of them are actors and voice actors, so this shouldn't surprise us. However, we still see the 3 pillars in their games. It isn't all just talkie-talkie. There is certainly combat and exploration present. By the way, I have a video titled The 3 Pillars of a Successful D&D Game that goes into more detail on this. I'll throw a link down below for you. Look at me, I'm so generous with these links. Just link, go click it. Okay, I need to calm down, sorry. Number 5, customizing the game for your players. We just talked about balancing the game, but a complementary point is to balance the game according to your players' preferences. Do they love combat? Give them more combat. Do they love social interactions? Add some more. And you know, part of me suspects that one of the reasons we see lots of social interactions on Critical Role is that Matt is doing just this, customizing the game for his players. I bet you that the players really do enjoy acting and talking in character a lot. so this becomes a feature of Matt's games for them. Another pro tip for you as well, using the characters' backstories to design elements in your game is something you can do that your players will love. In my D&D campaign creation video, I talk about the main adventure arc for your game, but I also discuss character adventure arcs, and that's where you can design entire adventures that revolve around elements in character backstories. I strongly suggest doing that when you can, as it will make your campaign even more engaging for your players. Caution! Not all your players will like the same things, however, so some variety is still often needed. And all of one thing, combat for instance, could get old and boring, even if players love it. Now, most of the things we've talked about thus far have had to do with preparing the game outside of the actual game session. See what I mean about preparation being important? I still gotta calm down. Sorry. How you run the game during the game session is another basic thing that, when done well, will elevate your game from others. Now, there are lots of things a DM does during a game session, but I'm going to list a few that I consider the most important. Number 6. Listening more and talking less. Yes, you need to describe the world around the characters. Yes, you need to adjudicate actions when the players decide to do a thing. However, you also need to just shut your mouth sometimes, let the players talk, and just listen to them. The goal is not to put yourself in the spotlight. Instead, allow everyone to share the spotlight, players and Dungeon Master. And this is something we certainly see Matt Mercer doing. He gives his players room to speak, to act, to actually play the game. We aren't just listening to him monologue for several hours. Number 7, run interesting NPCs. A good chunk of the game is the characters talking to the NPCs, either in the dungeon or adventure locations, in town, on the road, or elsewhere. And remember that monsters and bad guys are NPCs too. So strive to make your NPCs interesting. Sometimes this involves their background or secrets they may have. But in my experience, 90% of making an NPC interesting and fun for players is how you portray them during the game. It's the quirky or unique voice that you give them. It's the body language you demonstrate as you roleplay the NPC. Honestly, this is probably the one thing that Matt Mercer excels at above all others. And it shouldn't surprise us since his vocation is an actor. I mean, voice actors are just as much actors as non-voice actors too, by the way. They just act more with their voices and less with their bodies, even though if you see them actually in the studio when they're doing the voice acting and stuff, I guarantee you they're very animated and they're using their bodies as they voice act because that helps you to do the voice acting stuff. People wonder why I'm always like going like this all the time. I don't know, it helps you talk. It just helps you do your thing. Number 8, run fun combats. Another part of the game that can easily take up 50% or more of your actual game time is combats. And if they're going to take up that much time, they had better be fun. However, combat can often feel like a chore and become a complete slog, and you definitely don't want that. Now, I have a whole lot that I could say on this topic, but I've also made several videos about it too, so I will conveniently throw a link down below to a short playlist I created for you, Improving D&D Combat, that you can check out. Number 9, allow all players to participate. Making sure all players have the opportunity to participate and dominant players don't hog the action is a fairly basic but super important role the DM plays. Guess what happens if you as the DM don't quiet down the loud talkative players so that everyone can actually play the game? Chances are the players who aren't able to participate much might just leave and find other games. Why? Well, I mean, because they showed up to play D&D, but they really aren't able to. It's the DM's job to create space for them to participate. Sometimes that's as simple as addressing the quiet players and asking them what they say or do. Other times it means addressing the talkative players directly and asking them to give others a chance to speak. Now, if you're a new dungeon master or a veteran looking for fresh perspectives and you're finding my videos helpful, I would love for you to become a DM Lair patron at the link below. You can support the content my team and I create for as little as $5 a month, and you'll get tons of extra patron bonuses. For instance, every month you'll get a new issue of Lair magazine. You can vote on videos I make, and I even run D&D games for patrons. But if you're not able to support financially, there's no worries at all. Please continue helping yourself to all the free content I make, such as these 2 videos right here, or all the things I put in the links in the playlist that I was telling you about. And I hope that you and your players continue to have loads of fun playing D&D.